So first of all, sorry for not sponsoring a Kiddush, but today is my 63rd anniversary of my bar mitzvah. This is my bar mitzvah talis, my bar mitzvah talis bag. And the other thing is, listening to JL, I remembered how much I hated this because that was one long Haftorah. Just went on forever, right? So anyway, so let me begin. My devar today may be hard to follow. In my head, the elements follow one after another. Hopefully, they do for you also. So the elements of the devar are a focus on the 7 haftarot of consolation, of which this is the 4th. Then who is a prophet? And what is a prophecy? And then finally, connection to the days of awe. This haftarah is one of 7 haftarot of consolation, nachama, from Tisha B'Av to Rosh Hashanah. This haftarah, be comforted, my people. Know ye not, hear ye not, has it not been told to you from the beginning? Even I am one who comforts you. Arise, shine forth. I will surely delight in the Lord. And the Lord has comforted Zion. And in Shoftim, this one, I am he who comforts you. What ails you, you fear. What ails you, you fear. And my kindness shall never depart. They're all similar in theme. On the other hand, if you read all of them, the people go through many stages in these haftarot, sort of like the stages of grief or AA. They start inconsolable, they move to suffering, then they're at a loss of what to do, then they become open to something, and the beginning of seeing the need to act, and finally turning to a new path. And we'll return to this theme later. These haftarot were written by a prophet. Now, since Isaiah lived at least 100 years before the destruction of the temple, how did he foresee these things? Well, again, many of you who know more than I know that there's a second Isaiah. Joe Blow, somebody. Go figure. Now, who is a prophet? What makes a prophet worthy of being remembered? Well, first of all, prophets are different than the other holy ones before them. They had no contact with God. They didn't have a dream where they heard God's voice, no burning bush, no tablets from the mountain, no clouds around the tabernacle. So what distinguishes them? A.J. Heschel, in the book The Prophets, which I think was his PhD thesis, says, prophecy is not simply an application of timeless standards to particular situations. Rather, it's a divine understanding of a human situation. Prophecy may be described as an exegesis of existence from a divine perspective. You know, I've done this whole part so I could say the word exegesis. I had to look it up. Kierkegaard says, exegesis points to being what you are meant to be. For example, a tree fulfills itself by being a tree. Buber expands on this in I and Thou. What are we meant to be? A prophet is a regular person who answers the call of their mission. We are all called to be in touch with what's eternal rather than the mundane. Let me give you my example. Years ago, I realized that at the university, we'd done little to prepare our engineering graduate students for moving out to the working world. So I created a course called Professional Development, which prepared them for communication, one-on-one, small groups, large groups, and project management, which in this case is taking over their thesis. I had to sell it to the faculty. Initially, I tried to convince them with logic, etc., and to explain to them. It only met with disapproval and disregard. After each attempt, I would wonder what I could have said done differently, but I kept feeling not enough. And then I got in touch with what was in my heart. What am I here for? What really inspires me is the development of students, the development, the difference in their lives, and the improvement of the department. From there, speaking in the meetings became easy, because I could speak from that, from the eternal. After a while, any objections started to sound as shallow as they were. Soon the course took off. Word got around to the students, who even then asked their advisors if they could be in it. And their advisors agreed because they started to see a difference in the research. Heschel says that the question for people is, what is the commitment they have for a relationship with God? Are you choosing to live your life from what is eternal or from what is temporal? The Greeks asked the question, what is beauty? Which spurs one's mind into the eternal. Moses asks, what does God command of me? The starting place is entirely different, as is the lives we lead after. These Haftorah are in the weeks before the days of awe. So let me draw an analogy. These Haftorah of consolation are like a guidebook for us to the days that we are prepared for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur, we are forgiven. It says, we're already forgiven. It's just written in there, you're forgiven. But atonement precedes forgiveness. I always wonder why, by the way, it's called the Day of Atonement and not the Day of Forgiveness. Perhaps these Haftorah lay out the stages through atonement. Think of a way of being that really doesn't work. When we first discover it, it can be debilitating. It can seem much worse, but in fact, it's the same. We're just aware of it now. At first, we see it play out and how damaging it is, but we can't do anything about it. We're kind of, once triggered, already automatic. Slowly, we start to find some hope, some opening where we can be better. And slowly, we find some dry ground around the morass where we can find a new direction in that area. We can have a conversation of apology and reconciliation, results in a new behavior in that situation, and a development of new behavior in the situation, and opens a path for the future. Without forgiveness, we would carry an impossibly heavy satchel filled with resentments against loved ones, co-workers, community members, and especially ourselves. Intimate relationships would become impossible because no one can work through being in a relationship perfectly. Every day, traditional Jews thank God as the one who is Chachun HaMarbeh Lisloach, gracious and abundantly forgiving. Well, what causes us to bear grudges and not forgive is not just the pain we feel when we're offended, but also kind of that destabilizing of knowing who we are, in this case. Let me give an example. Suppose a spouse wittingly or unwittingly does something to hurt the other. This can lead to, let's say, a period of the silent treatment. The first spouse finally sees that and asks, "What's up?" And the aggrieved one says, "I want an apology." And the first spouse is sitting there going, "For what?" No, this can happen, really. I've heard about it. Often there's a cost-benefit. It costs both, not only the transgressor made to suffer, but also the aggrieved party, because they have closed off part of themselves. Consider, to forgive is not to forget. It is to reconnect. Teshuvah, which means both forgiveness and return. Last week, Rabbi Avi distinguished the importance of hope. Does hope precede forgiveness? Or does forgiveness open the way for hope? We pray for we have hoped for your salvation all day long. Hope and anticipation is the secret of a redemption. For me, it's redemption in the here and now, not just in the life to come. So let me return to my description of a prophet. A prophet is a regular person, like you and me. We can be a prophet in our lives. We can live our lives in tune with what God has created for us. If life is a symphony, then we are a note in that symphony, and our exegesis is to be that note. Each year, we address atonement and forgiveness. As we live our life, our note evolves. We gain new insights, new textures to that note. It is a continual path that we are on. It is the gift of our life. Shabbat Shalom.